Let's get into this conversation now. And over 9,000 lawyers have been referred to the Legal Practice Council following complaints related to the Road Accident Fund. Now, most of these legal practitioners are accused of swindling their clients of the fund's payouts. Let's speak now to the RAF CEO, Collins Letsoalo, who joins me in studio this morning. Sir, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
Let's begin with just how widespread or extensive is this issue of lawyers helping themselves to RAF monies, because the Gauteng Judge President, Xoli Mngambi, describes it as a gravy train for lawyers and medical experts. What's going on?
Well, I'm glad, Xoli, because when I came here last time, I told you lawyers are corrupt. And people kept on saying, well, the RAF is the one that is full of malfeasance and all that, and we're not paying people and all those things. And we kept on saying, well, that is not true. We kept on saying, well, the lawyers are corrupt. And at least now, the Judge President has said it. He has got evidence. He said he challenged them to do it. And it's something that we know. This is, in majority of cases, by the way, this is just a tip of the iceberg, according to what we see.
The Judge President, Xoli Mngambi, as he explained the situation, he says magistrates have seen files that suggest RAF settles some of these cases when someone, for example, will say, I have suffered brain damage, when in fact that person has only suffered an abrasion to the ankle. Yes. That's just an example he uses. Yeah. And it brings the question, does the RAF conduct its own investigations before settling?
We do. If you remember, Xoli, we've been talking about the RAF Form 1, the minimum requirements. And we've been saying these people are bringing empty claims. And they've taken us to court. Of course, the court came and agreed with them, the North Gauteng High Court, for some strange reason. And we were saying, but when you come and claim that you have been injured, at least give us all the information for us to be able to investigate in terms of Section 4 of our Act. We are not allowed to do that. In most instances, these claims are scanty. Some of them don't even have accident reports, and we've been saying that. Now, what they do is they do it with other professionals who are doctors. Now, when a neurosurgeon comes and says there's a brain damage, who's Collins Letsoalo to come and say there's no brain damage? Because the reality is this. If I then say there's no brain damage, I must then bring the proof. I don't have the proof because they do not bring all the information. Yes, there are cases that we do refer to our own internal panel that does look at them, but it's not in all instances, because what it will tell you is that when we do our own investigation, it takes even longer. So they take 3 years to bring these claims to us. Right. Someone has been injured. For 3 years, they've not done anything as lawyers. Even when you can get injured today, Xoli, and give it to them in 3 or 4 weeks' time, or you can give it in 6 months' time, they still bring it in 3 years, because the aim is to make sure that they generate summons, which summons will take them to court, and this shenanigans will just start.
We're going to talk about possible solutions in a moment, but before we get there, we have heard of very disturbing stories. In fact, stories that are harrowing, of victims, real victims this time, who've suffered serious injuries, and those victims are paid out by the RAF. But guess where the money goes? It's taken by the lawyers. And so another question is there a way that the RAF can inform the victim that we have now paid out, the money has got to be followed up with your lawyer, because that's who has been assisting you with this case? Have you been doing business in that way? Because that's one way to at least avoid people crying that we've not received our monies.
You know a thing called attorney-client privilege, Xoli.
Sure.
Once you sign the power of attorney, we are forced to correspond with the attorney. we are not even allowed to speak to the client. They say, no, you can't speak to our clients. You can't ask them questions. You can't tell them anything. You must correspond through us. It's called attorney-client privilege. There's nothing we can do about it. Once you sign the power of attorney, you say they must do everything ancillary there to include the correspondence. Let me give you an example. So you want to know how much, how far your claim is. If you have got a lawyer, you go to the lawyer. He bills you for that call, for taking the call.
True.
He bills you for asking the road accident fund the question, how far? And then after that, corresponding back to you, he also bills you. So for them, it's a money-making scheme. So we have opened this call center, the 087-820-1111 call center, which we opened. This is the outcome of it. A lot of people now are calling in. We said to them, we encourage you, even if the lawyer tells you something, you can actually go and ask the RAF about this.
Yeah.
So they are now asking us, did you pay us? Indeed, in most instances, you find that someone has been waiting for 5 years, and 3 years back, the RAF has paid. The lawyer just simply swindled the money.
Just repeat that number for us, so that our team is able to put it up on the screen. So you say it's 087.
Yes, 820.
820.
111.
Yes. Okay, so 087 820 111. That's the call center number.
1111.
1111.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question has to do with people from within RAF.
Absolutely.
Because the SIU says it's recovered some monies from lawyers who've received duplicate payments. That talks to you needing to clean house from within. How far have you gone in that process?
We've been cleaning house. The discovery of duplicate payments, 1.2 billion Xoli. The RAF has collected 800 million of that. The remainder, then we of course refer to the SIU, which was around 340 million. But as we go along, we actually get these monies. Indeed, I mean, when we suspended people complained. You'd remember that there was this memorandum that was doing rounds where some 10 legal fraternity organizations under the LSSA were complaining about the new operating model of the Road Accident Fund.
Yeah.
One of the issues was there are more people suspended at RAF. And our question was, why would you worry about that? Because we are following processes. This is the Labor Relations Act process that is taking place. Indeed, we are finding out that they are working with hospitals. Hospitals do go and steal patients out of public facilities. We have seen these lawyers themselves. We have seen actuaries. We have seen medical professionals have had a feeding frenzy at the Road Accident Fund.
How deep is the rot within the RAF? You're saying that labor relations, so it means disciplinary processes, some people. How many officials, do you have a figure where you're able to tell us that these are the number of people that are undergoing disciplinary processes? Well,
at any given point in time, there was a time when we suspended some 284 people. I would say more than 500, so about, have gone through that process. And of course, I mean, when you charge people, people do leave. And remember, the relationship you have with this person, unless there is a criminal case, if it's a case of misconduct, the best outcome you can get is really a dismissal. And if the person resigns, of course, we won't pursue that person because we need to balance the issue of the resources that we're expending trying to get the outcome. The outcome is for the person to leave the Road Accident Fund. But of course, in cases where we find that there are criminal cases, we do open cases of criminal conduct against those people. And as I say, we are working very closely with SIU to make sure that we clean and recover the monies that we need to recover. Some of the sheriffs are in on this thing. For instance, the judge president is speaking about fraudulent court orders. I came here, I spoke about fraudulent court orders, and people were in uproar. The judge president has said to have confirmed there are fraudulent court orders that people are getting. Once they've got a court order, they come and attach our assets on fraudulent court orders with the help of sheriffs, because when we then go take these matters to court, the RAF is always in court. But the only way you can rescind an outcome like that is actually through the courts.
As part of the cleanup process, there is the Road Accident Fund Amendment Act.
Yes.
The Act seeks to ensure that the victim claims directly
Absolutely.
to the RAF. How long or how soon can that start? And more importantly, can the claimant be guaranteed a process that is not going to be fraught with document after document after document? Because that is what scares people, and the person says, there's just too much paperwork here. Where do I begin?
Well, we are simplifying our processes.
Yeah.
That is one thing that we are doing. Why we say the minimum requirements is simple. You must know what you give us. Now, Xoli, a very strange phenomenon. Where have you ever seen a social benefit fund needing a lawyer? For you to go and claim from SASSA, they say, bring a lawyer here. There is no need for those things because you are injured, we know the extent of injury, and we know the extent of which it has impacted on your life. Right. That must be simplified. So the new bill is talking about what is called defined benefits. So you know that if my pinky got to be amputated or whatever happens to it, and you know that if I lose my leg, this is how much I must get. This system must come now. We want it now. But the most important part is this one of also paying in installments, Xoli. Because if we don't pay in annuity, we give people money, someone gets 10 million, we know in about 6 months to a year, most of the RAF beneficiaries have lost all that money anyway. If they do get it from the lawyer, that is. In most instances, the lawyer takes it, and we give it to them. When we give it to the claimant, then they end up getting it. Let's just say they got a good lawyer, which is very few of them, by the way. Then they get it. Once they get it, in a year it's gone. Then they are not going back to the social system. What social system makes people millionaires? That's not the aim. So we need this to come into speed quite quickly, and I think the minister is working quite quickly to make sure that it gets through Parliament and then it gets passed. And I think that is the best thing that could have ever happened to the Road Accident Fund. One is the fact that it will be sustainable, but also, Xoli, this system is not equitable. If your helper today's child got injured, yours got injured, same injury, same everything, your child will get more than that of your helper. And we know, with the background of South Africa, who's getting more money from this scheme.
Sure.
Yes.
The Legal Practice Council, we began the conversation by making reference to some 9,000 lawyers that have been referred to the Legal Practice Council.
Yeah.
The viewer is wondering, who is the Legal Practice Council? Explain exactly who they are and what they are supposed to do when you report such cases to them.
It's lawyers trying to self-regulate themselves. It's a gentleman. It's not even a watchdog, Xoli. It's a gentleman's club, a gentleman's and ladies' club. Of what it's supposed to do is take care of this. But the problem is, you have got these lawyers. I'll give you an example. There is one of the person that is actually sitting on the disciplinary committee. He is also accused of the same thing, of swindling money from a minor. This person sits in the Legal Practice Council. This person is supposed to take action against this 9,000. He's not going to do it because he is in on it. So it's this thing of self-regulation. It will never work. There is no way in which we are going to have lawyers saying, this is good for us, this is bad for us, please get out as gentlemen, and they agree. That is why we have reported. In 2020, we have reported 102 law firms. Nothing has happened to even one of those law firms. In fact, there is a case where we were asking for a suspension of a certain medical professional, a legal practitioner. What then happened? The LPC came to the defense of that person and said, we are still continuing. Ask them, out of those 9,000 of this year alone, 9,000, ask them about last year, ask them about 2020, how many of those and what happened to them? They simply don't have the capacity. I don't think they have the will to actually do this.
That's a serious accusation against the Legal Practice Council, and we'll have to get them here in order for them to answer for themselves.
Yes.
Let's conclude the conversation on this note. The Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill is still undergoing those processes.
Absolutely.
Via the legislative arm of government.
And you will find that the people that will challenge it will be lawyers. I think there's more than 5,000 inputs into that.
Yeah.
90% of them are all lawyers. Of course, they want to stop this because for them it makes sense.
But at some point, the House of Parliament will have to adopt that bill into the Act, for it to become an Act, which means it's a law.
Absolutely.
Once that law is promulgated, do you not feel the need as a RAF to embark on an education campaign? Why am I asking for this? Yeah. So that it avoids people being scammed. That would surely benefit victims.
We have already started. This call center, even when people call us the buzzers, we call them back because we understand the need for our people. This system, as it is sitting today, actually needs you to have a lawyer. Section 19C of the RAF Act says that if you don't prosecute through yourself or the lawyer, it's very difficult to issue summons as Xoli, as you are sitting there.
Sure. As
educated as you are, as enlightened as you are. The reality is this, and this is what we are saying. There is a need to simplify the system. The reason of making it this cumbersome is to make sure that the lawyers are in on it continuously. We are very excited about the need for these amendments, because these amendments are going to empower the claimant. But we will see, even in this December going forward, this year is what we term the year of the claimant, to empower the claimant to know about their claim. For instance, they are even refusing to give us the numbers of the claimant. When they come, we say, okay, what are the numbers of the claimant? So that what we can do, we can send them SMSs, we can keep them informed and everything. What they do, they will give us a number, and they will go on the other side and say, please change your number. Or they will give us wrong numbers of this claimant, because they don't want a direct relationship between the RAF and its claimants. And I think that is wrong. And that's what we want to work on. We are saying, here's a call center. Please call this call center. It's there for you.
All right. That number, 087-820-1111. Collins Letsoalo, let me thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.